rules are annoying. Rules are, frankly, like one of those things that just exist in life that none of us probably appreciate on the surface level, but ultimately we do long term. And so when it comes to like enforcing rules at the salon, this is a conversation that comes up a lot in all of my coaching containers. High level, like multi-million-dollar salons, and also in, like just in my DMs, it pops up from everybody like, I have to enforce this rule, or like, how should I go about this conversation, and and it's like just a perpetual thing. It's ongoing because when rules exist, people will break rules. Some people follow the rules, some people don't follow the rules. What I can say, my very first response, no matter what, is, have we clearly explained the rule and why it exists? So do we have an SOP around this? Is this a part of our training? Like, very top line, like, do we have this kind of mapped out for people? Because if the answer is no, then that's half the battle right there. But if you have just like someone who is an actual rule breaker and doesn't give a rip, that's a different conversation. So we'll get to that in just a second, but what I will say first is you must have, of course, SOPs, training around it, and sometimes it's as simple as like, hey, let's just revisit the training around said rule. And it can be as simple as, for me, I'll sometimes put in like a Slack message to the whole team all at once. You can of course have direct conversations if you need to, but I think like a quarterly, just like, here's like the rules we need to like kind of check in on, and I hate even using the rule or the word rule, but it, like, standards, let's call them standards. I love that word. So like, whatever you want to call it, but you should have a quarterly just check in on housekeeping for your business, because if you don't, things can get super out of whack. Okay, so there's that. But the second piece, and the second most important piece, and when it comes to this conversation in coaching, I say, do you follow the rule as a salon owner? Is it easy for you to follow the rule as a salon owner? And if the answer is no, then maybe why does the rule exist? Because if you personally can't do it, and you can't embody it and show it and live it and be the example, then that's a silly rule to have. Because if it's hard for you, it's hard for everybody. And or you are above the rules, which is not a great leadership trait. I'm just gonna come out and say it, y'all. So excuse me, I still have, this is like this never ending cold. But here's the thing, like, if it is a rule that you're like, why do we have this rule? Like, why can't I maintain it? Why can't I do it? You need to come back to why you have the rule in place in the first place. And so, for example, we have a couple of like rules. We have lots of guiding principles, shall we say, and standards at my salon, but ultimately they're just boundaries. They're just freaking rules. And one of them being that we don't eat at the community table. Our clients can do whatever they want at the community table, but we have a break room, right? And that rule is rarely like tiptoed on. Like, people follow that rule, but every once in a while we just want to sit and hang out with our client, and they're going to eat their lunch, or you want to eat your lunch and talk to them or whatever. And for the most part, everybody wants a break from their clients. So you park them at the community table and you run, right? But sometimes, like, I'll see somebody that maybe they don't have like a hot lunch, but they have like a granola bar or something. And if that's the case, I just say like, oh, everybody's going to go. That's okay. 4-way stops are hard. Anyways, I will say, like, hey, in Slack, like, just full reminder for everybody, no eating at the community table. I know it's annoying. It's so cozy to sit at the table with our clients. However, it lowers the standard of professionalism that we keep, and the table is for our clients and the community. It is not our break room. Literally, you could go stand at your station and eat the granola bar, and I'm not going to complain about it. I don't think that's the best thing to do. Never ever. But like, that to me is more acceptable because there is no rule that you're breaking, right? Like, we don't generally eat at our stations, but it's not like as big of a rule as like you do not eat at the community table, because that was a rule that I set in stone when we put it there. And like, look, sometimes like I have snacks in my color cabinet, like, so I will like, you know, like pop a like couple handful of nuts as I'm mixing color. So like, you know, these sort of things, like there can be like gray area around it. And I know some people are probably like, oh my gosh, that's disgusting. Like, I would never, like, that is so gross. But like, when you're mixing color, like that's an opportunity for a little snack or whatever. Like, I mean, I don't know, right? And sometimes I have my protein shake in my cup at my station. So is that technically eating? I don't know. But like that kind of stuff, I'm not that big of a stickler on. But I am a huge stickler on the community table because there is purpose behind it. Now, granted, I think that you would be losing professionalism if you stand and eat at your station as well. But that's kind of like a broad, everyone knows it rule. Like, and people don't do that either, you know? So like, that's just like hypothetical. But at the color cabinet, I think that's fine. And most people have their color bar like kind of tucked away. Ours is pretty open at the lab, but I'm not like shoveling like a hot Chinese food, right? Like, it's not like that. That all happens in the break room. So either way, like, it all comes down to why have we designed it this way, right? And what do we, did we lose the camera a little bit? Sorry. Why have we designed the rule, and then how do we carry it out? Another one that often gets broke at my salon, but there's an instant repercussion. I can't believe it gets broken as often as it does. But if you leave your bowls and your brushes out overnight, they go to jail, right? We have jail under the sink, and you can go dig for your stuff, and then once a week the jail gets thrown in the trash. And sometimes, I'm just gonna say, the jail doesn't get thrown away as quickly as I would like to. The rule states if you leave your stuff out overnight, it gets put in the trash. That's the rule. But we go pretty lenient on the rule, and that's probably why it gets broken pretty often. But I will pop into Slack and say, hey guys, like, jail is way too full, and it's all going in the trash. Like, it's all going in the trash. If you leave clips and stuff out on the mixing bar, like, the shampoo bar, that I instantly throw away. Like, I don't even think about it, because that is a rule and that is a standard. But like, if I leave my clips out, my clips also have to get thrown away. Do you know what I mean? And that's okay, because the receptionist knows the rules, and the other stylists know the rules too. Or frankly, a lot of times what I see happen is like, oh, somebody left these Wire Spark clips out and they should go in the trash, but instead I'm gonna put them in my pocket. Right? I'm gonna start using them because like Wire Spark combs are fine. And like, to me, that's fine because you left it there. And if those are, and I'm pretty much like, there's only a couple of us that have Wire Spark combs and clips and stuff. And so like, everybody knows, like, that's what's gonna happen. Sorry, that keeps happening. Anyhow, like, if you can't abide by the rule, then why do you have it in the first place is the biggest thing. And for me, like, do you get busy and sometimes leave a clip out? Yes. Like, is that okay? Yes. Is that the end of the world? No. But there are rules that are broken over and over and over again that do matter. And ultimately, even if we are seeing a lot, we honestly, like, the clips don't get left at the shampoo bowl or really anywhere very often, because you need them. You're working with them, right? But what I do see, and occasionally we'll just pop in Slack or our team communication channel, is like, hey, just a reminder, like, we don't leave stuff out because it's messy, it's disrespectful, it violates our core value of respect in the salon. Like, that. It's just so simple, and people are like, oh yeah, like, we don't want to be slobs because it looks bad on the whole salon. And how are you going to charge a bunch of money for a service if you're giving it in like a dirty, grubby, like, nobody cares about their stuff environment? Like, that's the whole point, right? So you come full circle with the explanation of why. So yes, those are two kind of like very top level, not a big deal rules that do get broken occasionally, or could be broken, but like, we just correct it instantly because we have to. And so here, what about the person that's a rule follower that just is like, DGAF, I don't follow rules? That requires a conversation. And you explain, and probably if there is a person like that, you probably didn't do a very good job onboarding them and explaining the rules in the beginning, because they would have self-opted out of working in your environment had they known excuse me, that they were going to be like have all these rules. You know what I mean? Like, people know if they can handle that or not. Like, it goes back to like one of my best interview questions. Like, this is how we operate here. Is this something that feels in alignment with how you like to operate? You know, these sort of things. And so, so if there is a person that's just really like, F you and I'm not following the rules, you need to get back into a conversation of, can we move forward? And this is what we're doing. And I'm sorry that if perhaps this wasn't clearly explained in the beginning, or it's been a really long time and maybe you've just forgot, or I've forgotten, or right, whatever that is. And so that's the conversation that needs to happen. And then you have to take action. You have to say, like, yeah, like, sorry, Lexi, like, we can only have this conversation one more time. Like, this is really important to the salon. And I am wondering if you don't understand the value of having this in place and how your actions are negatively impacting the rest of the salon. And those are really simple questions that sometimes are hard to say, like, because we just want to like throw up a little bit. But it's not actually hard when you start to think about that this is the difference between your business succeeding or failing. And if you let all those little things go because you're a people-pleasing salon owner, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be really tough. And that is not the way that you're gonna get to longevity. That's not the way that you're going to be able to have a salon that is crazy successful 18 years later. Like, you have to kind of like buckle up a little bit and be willing to have some conversations or just ask questions. Because frankly, like, you ask the question, they answer if they can do it or not. That's on them, not on you. You're like, hey, are we in agreement? Do you understand why this is important? If they say no or they don't care, like, pretty clear, right? So that's my spiel on rules and a little insider reality of what goes on at my salon. And it's just that you have to hold the rule, and you have to be able to follow the rule, and you have to know why the rule exists in the first place. Because if you have those things in place, it's simple to enforce and uphold. So for me, my bowls, I literally wash them and put them away instantly. Literally, my team can ask the receptionist to wash their bowls. Or the receptionist just does automatically. If they're in the sink, they get washed. And if they have their name on them, they'll dry them and put them away. But like, it's just not that hard. So it's a rule that everyone can do. Like, I, for the longest time, was the busiest stylist in my salon. I'm not anymore because I barely work behind the chair, but anymore. But I was the busiest for sure for a long time. And I always put my bowls away. It's just not that hard.